Alright, so in today's video, I'm going to be trying to win a Stanley Cup with the Arizona Coyotes in NHL 23. Now, we all know that's basically impossible considering Arizona is absolutely terrible, and I mean, they're about to get relocated to like Houston or somewhere. They did make one Western Conference final way back in like 2012. They were up against the LA Kings, but I'm pretty sure they got swept in that series, and since then, they have done absolutely nothing. We are on a mission to win the Arizona Coyotes a Stanley Cup. Now, you may ask, how on earth are we going to win Arizona Stanley Cup? The wheel. We are going to be using the wheel. Yes, the wheel is going to help us out win a Stanley Cup with Arizona. There's a bunch of things on there, either plus or negative, and after every season that we do not win the Stanley Cup, we are going to spin the wheel and see what we get, and whatever we get, that is what we're going to add or subtract from Arizona until we win a Stanley Cup with them in NHL 23. Alright, now let's simulate and see what happens. If you enjoy videos like this, make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel. I post pretty much every second day. Also, let me know in the comments if you know anything we should add to the wheel, because I think I got like 20 or 21 things there right now. Just put a bunch of things in the comments what you would like to see on the wheel. And alright, let's get into the video. So predictably, at the end of year number 1, the Arizona Coyotes did not make the playoffs. They finished 7th in the Central, going 28, 39, and 15, good enough for 71 points. And they were the 3rd worst team in all of hockey, only finishing above the Montreal Canadiens and the Chicago Blackhawks. Clayton Keller is actually going to have a very good season, 32 goals and 82 points in 82 games, followed by Jacob Voracek, who had 78. Massarelli I have no idea how to pronounce this guy's name, but he had 59 points. Schmaltz at 58, Krause 50, Barrett Hayton at 43, Fisher 37. Yeah, this team was not very good. Our starting goalie had a 310 goals against average and a 903 save percentage. 903 is not that bad, but the 310 is very bad. Connor McDavid is going to have the most points in the NHL with 107, followed by Nathan MacKinnon's 105, Elias Pettersson 103, Evgeny Malkin had 100, Rantanen 100, Crosby had 97, Buchnevich had 95. I don't think I've ever seen this dude score 95 points in a single season in any of my simulations, literally ever. For goals, Kucherov had the most at 50, followed by Marchand's 48, Kadri had 47, Patrick Kane 47, Ovi 46, the GOAT Nathan MacKinnon had 45, and Austin Matthews would have 44. And this is how you know it's a video game, as the Toronto Maple Leafs go on to win the Stanley Cup as they beat Edmonton in 5 games in the Stanley Cup final. Connor McDavid is going to take home the Ted Lindsay, the Art Ross, and the Hart Trophy, while Nikita Kucherov, he's going to take home the Maurice Richard. Adam Fox is going to take home the Norris. Elias Pettersson is going to take home the Lady Byng. Mitch Marner is actually going to take home the Conn Smythe. Tristan Jarry is going to win the Vezina, and Anze Kopitar is going to win the Selke. Alright, after not making the playoffs in year number 1, let's spin the wheel and see what we get here. Give me something good, for God's sake, please. And we are going to be adding a pair of brothers, any pair of my choosing, that are in the NHL, and we will be adding them to the Arizona Coyotes. Alright, so I've added Jack Hughes and Quinn Hughes to the Arizona Coyotes. They're both a 90 overall apiece. Now, I thought about adding the Tkachuk brothers, but overall, I think Jack and Quinn are better than both. I mean, maybe not Matthew. Matthew's probably the best player of the 4, but overall, they're both a 90 overall, and one's a forward and one's a defenseman, which we need, honestly, both. Who knows? Maybe this team can be a fringe playoff team. You never know. So we would actually end up not making the playoffs yet again. Not surprising at all. We would end up finishing 6th in the Central, going 39, 39, and 4. We were not at the absolute bottom of the standings. We were actually, where do we finish? We finished 23rd in the entire league. Jack Hughes is going to lead our team in goals with 34 and points with 101. He was a minus 14, but we're just going to ignore that. Followed by Quinn Hughes, who had 64 points. Nick Schmaltz had 58. Clayton Keller had 55. Jacob Voracek 54. Massarelli 54. Barrett Hayton 43. Yeah, we still are not a very good team whatsoever. Looking at the entire league, Jack Hughes is actually going to have the most points in the entire NHL somehow with 101. You're telling me nobody else scored 100 points in the entire season? I guess not. Svechnikov would come in 2nd with 98, Matthews 97, McKinnon 97, Pettersson 96, McDavid 95, Mitch Marner 95. For goals, Matthews is going to score 61 goals. So we're going to have a 60 goal scorer, but not a 100-point scorer. That makes no sense. Followed by the GOATs 54, Ovi had 53, Cooch 46, McDavid 43, Brock Besser 43, and Brad Marchand had 41. Oh my god, Blake Wheeler had 41, and Jamie Benn had 39. And Gary Bettman's favorite team, the Vegas Golden Knights, are going to go on to win the Stanley Cup as they beat the Florida Panthers in 7 games in the Stanley Cup final. For the playoffs, Jack Eichel is going to have the most goals at 12. Actually, Kaprizov is going to have the most goals at 14, but Jack Eichel would have the most points at 28. Followed by Marchessault's 26, Barkov 26, Matthew Tkachuk 25, and Riley Smith 23. Svechnikov is going to take home the Ted Lindsay and the Hart Trophy, while Jack Hughes is going to take home the Art Ross, and Austin Matthews the Maurice Richard. Charlie McAvoy is going to win the Norris Trophy. Panarin is going to take home the Lady Byng. The Conn Smythe would go to Jack Eichel. Craig Anderson is going to win the Vezina? How on earth did Craig Anderson win the Vezina? He's like 41 years old. That has got to be one of the most wild things I've ever seen in any simulation. So Mr. Craig Anderson, who is 42 years old, yes, he's 42, he's going to win 36 games, lose 20, 9 overtime losses, but check this out, he had 7 shutouts, a 918 save percentage, and a 245 goals against average, which he's going to go on to win the Vezina Trophy for the best goaltender in the NHL that season. That is absolute. Oh my god, he played 65 games compared to Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen's 8. Alright, since we didn't win the Stanley Cup last season, let's spin the wheel yet again. And there we go, we are going to be adding a number 1 overall pick to the Arizona Coyotes. Let's go, that's one of the best ones on the wheel. Now obviously I had to add Connor McDavid to the Arizona Coyotes. He's the best number 1 pick in the entire game. He's a 97 overall, 25 years old, in the middle of his prime. Jack Hughes, you're coming up on the first line, buddy, with Clayton Keller and Connor McDavid. So our forward core is basically going to be carried by Connor McDavid and Jack Hughes. And defensively, you already know, we have Quinn Hughes at a 90 overall. Overall, this roster isn't the greatest, if I'm being honest. We have Zach Kassian on our 4th line at a 75, so that tells it all. So Arizona would actually end up making the playoffs. They would finish with a 41, 31, and 10 record, good enough for 5th in the Central. I believe it's a wild card spot. We would just barely sneak into the playoffs. We were the 14th seed in the entire NHL. Connor McDavid is going to lead our team in goals with 53 and points with 118, followed by Jack Hughes' 96. Clayton Keller had 75. Quinn Hughes had 61. Voracek had 59. Schmaltz 58. Barrett Hayton 40. So overall, McDavid basically carried our team to a playoff spot. Looking at the entire NHL, Connor McDavid had the most points with 118, followed by Elias Pettersson's 111. Sidney Crosby had 105. Nikita Kucherov 104. Braden Point had 102. Nathan McKinnon 100. Goodrow had 97. Barzell had 96. For goals, Kucherov had the most at 59, followed by McDavid was 53. Ovi had 48. Patrick Kane 46. And Austin Matthews 46. And we are going to be playing the Calgary Flames in round number 1. I mean, I'm hoping to at least beat Calgary in the first round because they're absolutely terrible. So Connor McDavid would carry us all the way to the conference finals, but we would end up losing to the Dallas Stars in 6 games. And the Carolina Hurricanes are going to go on to win the Stanley Cup as they beat Dallas in 7 games in the Stanley Cup final. For the playoffs, Connor McDavid is going to have 18 goals and 30 points in only 17 games, followed by Jack Hughes' 28, Clayton Keller 16. Yeah, it kind of falls off from there. So Connor McDavid only played 17 games in the playoffs, but still had the most goals with 18 and the most points with 30 over Svechnikov's 29, Rope Hintz 29, and Jack Hughes at 28. Jack Hughes and Connor McDavid, a new dynamic duo in the NHL. Elias Pettersson is going to take home the Ted Lindsay and the Hart Trophy, while Connor McDavid is going to take home the Art Ross, and Nikita Kucherov the Maurice Richard. Adam Fox would win the Norris. Kucherov would take home the Lady Byng. The Conn Smythe would go to Svechnikov. Jacob Markstrom is actually going to win the Vezina, and Sean Couturier is going to take home the Selke. Alright, since we lost in the conference finals, it is time to spin the wheel and see what we get. And unfortunately, we are going to have to trade away our starting goalie. It's not the worst considering our goalie isn't that good, but still, our starting goalie is out the window. So to make things fair, I'm going to be trading for Craig Anderson, who's an 83 overall, and our starting goalie is an 84. So they are around the same overall, so it's a fair trade. But I mean, this might set us back a couple of years. And Craig Anderson, he won the Vezina last season or the season before, whatever. He had an insane season, so hopefully he can do that with us. So there he is. Craig Anderson is our starting goalie at an 83 overall, and our backup is Connor Ingram at an 80. So at the end of year number 4, Arizona is going to have their best season yet, going 41, 29, and 12, good enough for a 3rd in the Central. And we were not even top 10 in the entire league. We were way down there. Where are we at? There we are, 14th in the entire NHL. Connor McDavid is going to absolutely carry us again. He would score 60 goals, leading our team, and 129 points, followed by Clayton Keller's 87, Jack Hughes 77, Quinn Hughes 68, Jacob Voracek 63, and Nick Schmaltz 53. For goals, McDavid had the most at 60, followed by Jack Hughes, who had 30, Jacob Voracek had 30, Schmaltz at 22, and Clayton Keller would have 22. Connor McDavid is going to lead the entire NHL in goals with 60 and points with 129, followed by Leon Draisaitl, who had 113, Kaprizov 103, 93. Nathan McKinnon had 100. Sidney Crosby 100. Jason Robertson 98. And Braden Point 98. For goals, other than McDavid, Kucherov would have 56. McKinnon 55. Draisaitl 52. And Kaprizov 49. And we are going to be playing the Minnesota Wild in round number 1. Hopefully we can go on another run like we did last season to the Western Conference Finals, but this time actually make the Stanley Cup Finals. Sadly, we would end up losing in the second round to the Calgary Flames, and the Toronto Maple Leafs are yet again going to go on to win the Stanley Cup, this time beating Calgary in 6 games in the Stanley Cup Final. Connor McDavid is the greatest player of all time. Rasmus Dahlin is going to take home the Norris. Patrick Kane would win the Lady Byng. Austin Matthews would take home the Conn Smythe. Vasi is going to win the Vezina, and Alexander Barkov is going to take home that Selke. Alright, since we lost in the second round, let's spin the wheel and see what we get here. Alright, that's not absolutely terrible. We can add an 85 or lower overall to the Arizona Coyotes, anybody of my choosing. Alright, so I have decided to add Jeremy Swayman at an 85 overall to our team. He's going to be our new starting goalie, and Craig Anderson is going to be our backup at an 83. I mean, there wasn't many good options at an 85 or lower overall, so I did decide to take him. Arizona is going to have their best season yet, finishing 3rd in the Central, going 46, 28, and 8. Connor McDavid, yet again, is going to lead our team in goals with 59 and points with 135, followed by Clayton Keller, who had 90, Jack Hughes at 88, Quinn Hughes 64, Massarelli 58, Voracek 54. For goals, it was McDavid, Jack Hughes, who had 30, Clayton Keller had 24, Voracek 22, and Barrett Hayton, who had 20. Jeremy Swayman is going to win 38 games, having 4 shutouts, a .905 save percentage, and a .301 goals against average. Connor McDavid is going to have the most goals with 59 and points with 135 in the entire NHL, followed by Sidney Crosby, who had 97, Jason Robertson 93, Roope Hintz had 92, Alex Ovechkin 91, and Patrick Kane 90. For goals, other than McDavid, it was Nathan McKinnon, who had 52, Alex Ovechkin 52, Austin Matthews 48, Jack Eichel 46, Kaprizov 44, and Kucherov 43. And unfortunately, we are going to play the greatest team of all time, the Colorado Avalanche, in round number 1. I am 100% not expecting us to win this, and predictably, we would end up losing to Colorado in 6 games, and they would go on to win the Stanley Cup as they beat Philadelphia in 7 games in the Stanley Cup Final. Connor McDavid is still the greatest player of all time. Cale Makar is going to take home the Norris. Braden Point is going to win the Lady Byng. Nathan McKinnon is going to take home the Conn Smythe. Igor is going to win the Vezina. And Sidney Crosby is going to take home the Selke. Alright, let's spin the wheel here and see what we get. Please give me something good so I can finally win the goddamn Stanley Cup with the Arizona Coyotes. And there you go. We are going to be adding the highest overall goalie in the entire NHL, which I believe is Andrei Vasilevskiy. Alright, so there he is, Andrei Vasilevskiy, who is a 94 overall. He's now our starting goalie. Our backup is Jeremy Swayman at an 85. So hopefully now, oh my god, we have -1s all across the board here. Jesus Christ. So somehow after adding Andrei Vasilevskiy, the best goalie in the NHL, the Arizona Coyotes are not even going to make the playoffs. We would end up finishing 5th in the Central, going 38, 37, and 7. What is going on, Arizona, man? Connor McDavid is going to have 59 goals and 113 points, followed by Clayton Keller, who had 79, Jack Hughes 76, Jacob Voracek 58. Oh my god, he was a -35. Quinn Hughes 54, and Nick Schmaltz 49. Let's take a look at Vasi. Vasi went 33, 31, and 6, 4 shutouts. Oh my god, an .898 save percentage and a .328 goals against average. Andrei Vasilevskiy, dude, you played 71 games. You are 94 overall. Why are you so terrible? Looking at the entire league, Connor McDavid's going to have the most goals at 59 and the most points at 113 yet again, followed by Evgeny Malkin's 109, David Pastrnak 103, Trevor Zegras 102, Matthew Tkachuk 100, Sidney Crosby had 99, and Alexander Barkov, who had 99. For goals, it was McDavid, Ovi, who had 54, Pasta 54, Matthews 47, and Brad Marchand 44. I just cannot believe Andrei Vasilevskiy absolutely selling the entire season, and the Capitals are going to go on to win the Stanley Cup as they beat Seattle in 7 games in the Stanley Cup Final. Evgeny Malkin is going to take home the Ted Lindsay and the Hart Trophy, while Connor McDavid will take home the Art Ross and the Maurice Richard. Victor Hedman is going to win the Norris. Pasta is going to take home the Lady Byng. Kuznetsov is going to win the Conn Smythe. Linus Ullmark is going to win the Vezina, and Anze Kopitar is going to take home the Selke. Alright, let's see what we get here. We definitely need a good upgrade here, please, for the love of God. And this is a very good one. We are going to be adding Nathan MacKinnon, aka the GOAT, to the Arizona Coyotes. And there we go. Nathan MacKinnon is on Arizona. He's a 95 overall on the first line with Connor McDavid, who's a 97, and Clayton Keller, who's an 89. He is definitely going to help us out for sure. Not only does this make Arizona better, but it's also going to make Colorado worse. So that is definitely good for us. So finally, the Arizona Coyotes are going to have their best season yet, finishing first in the Central, going 52, 24, and 6. And we would end up finishing first in the entire NHL, ahead of the Columbus Blue Jackets, the Colorado Avalanche, the Florida Panthers, and the Toronto Maple Leafs. The GOAT, Nathan MacKinnon, is going to lead our team in goals with 53 and points with 131, followed by Connor McDavid's 117. He would also have 40 goals. Clayton Keller had 75, Jack Hughes 67, Voracek 65, and Quinn Hughes 62. Nathan MacKinnon would have the most goals and points in the entire NHL, followed by Connor McDavid. Johnny Hockey had 103, Alexander Barkov 103, Philip Forsberg 98, Mikko Rantanen had 98, Panarin 97. Hey yo, did anyone see Panarin? He shaved his head. Somebody said that in my chat one time and I still cannot get over it. I haven't found a picture or anything yet, but please let me know in the comments, did Panarin actually shave his head? For goals, it was MacKinnon, then Matthews, Kucherov, Forsberg, Jack Eichel. We would only have two 50-goal scorers this season, and we are going to be playing Nashville in round number 1. And finally, after 7 long seasons, we have made the Stanley Cup Finals. We are up against the Pittsburgh Penguins. Can we go on and win our first Stanley Cup in franchise history? And finally, after 7 long years of rebuilding this team with the wheel of all wheels, the Arizona Coyotes have gone on to win the Stanley Cup, beating the Pittsburgh Penguins in 6 games in the Stanley Cup Final. We have finally done it, boys. We've broke the curse. Arizona is no longer a poverty franchise. They are now Stanley Cup champions. And Connor McDavid is going to take home the Conn Smythe for the Arizona Coyotes. Absolutely no surprise here, but wait a minute, why is he wearing 17? And here comes our captain, Connor McDavid, wearing number 17, which is honestly pretty weird, but we're just going to go with it. He is coming to lift the Stanley Cup for the very first time in his career for the Arizona Coyotes, their first in franchise history, I believe. Who wore number 97 on the Arizona Coyotes that got retired? Let me know in the comments. And he's going to pass it off to the GOAT, Nathan MacKinnon, joined us off from the Colorado Avalanche. He was very well needed for the playoffs and the regular season. We had our best season of all time when we added him to the team, and now we are Stanley Cup champions. And of course, we cannot forget about Andrei Vasilevsky, who is the best goaltender in the entire game at a 94 overall. He definitely helped us out there, even though he didn't have the greatest stats, but still a 95 overall goalie, or 94, I believe. That will definitely help get the job done. There he is, Jack Hughes, baby, the youngest player on our team, or one of the youngest. One of our best players too, one of the first players we added. He's a 90 overall, I believe. Very well helpful. And finally, the Arizona Coyotes are Stanley Cup champions. I thought I'd never see it, boys. For the playoffs, Connor McDavid is going to have the most goals at 19 and the most points on our team with 43, followed by Nathan MacKinnon, who had 40, also 13 goals. Jack Hughes had 27. He would also have 10 goals. Clayton Keller had 26. Quinn Hughes 24. Voracek 22. Looking at the entire NHL for the playoffs, it was McDavid, then MacKinnon, Brian Rust was up there, and Jack Hughes. So we did have 3 of the 4 top scorers for the playoffs. Vasi would end up going 16 and 7. He had 3 shutouts, a 907 save percentage, and a 286 goals against average. Nathan MacKinnon is the greatest player of all time. Victor Hedman is going to take home the Norris. Nathan MacKinnon would take home the Lady Byng. The Conn Smythe, obviously, to Connor McDavid. The Vezina to Vasi. There we go, baby. And Bo Horvat is going to take home the Selke. And that will do it for this video, boys. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Let me know in the comments what you would like to see next and what I should add to the wheel. Thank you all for watching, and until next time, don't be silly. Wrap your willy.